Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Minecraft Hardcore Guide series. The venue has changed a little bit, and that is because we had a little bit of an unfortunate outing in our last world that we were working on. Basically what happened is I was making my way around doing a little bit of caving after getting myself into a full set of iron armor, and we had a cave-in, which was not great. And I actually ended up suffocating because I couldn't dig myself out of it, and it was unfortunate. But we have gotten a new world started, and I've saved a lot of the monotonous task of running around and doing a lot of my early game stuff. As you can see, I'm about caught up to where I was when we left off, with the main exception being I don't have a structure put together for the main base and the flooring. But we can work on that, and I have some alternate ideas of what I want to do with my base. But as you can see, we have stumbled into quite a nice little town that actually has a surprising number of librarian villagers. I mean, there's one here, there's another one right here, there's a dual librarian house over there, and there's actually, I think, a fourth house over this way. So we have 4 different librarians walking around. It might even be 5. Either way, there's a lot of librarians running around town. And not a whole lot of them have anything super interesting. But one thing that I was pleasantly surprised about is I had to trade up a couple of my wheat blocks with this guy to get some emeralds, because over here, one of my librarians, it's this guy right here, you see that I've traded with him. He has a very expensive trade over here for 34 emeralds, but it's because it's an efficiency 5 book. And that will be really good for any and all tools that we end up making. And generally, I would kind of switch through their available trades to make sure that we can get something that's going to work well with us. But, and we'll definitely do that with this guy, because Aqua Affinity is great, but it's something you can get relatively easily out of an enchanting station. But that's kind of where we're at in terms of the progression here in putting together today's video. So the last things that I need to do is I need to make sure that I can find myself I need to make sure that I can find myself a little bit more iron, because I need an axe to go around and chopping down some trees, and for that we're going to need to go back down into our caves, which I've fully explored out a couple of the lower, shallower caves, and I'm trying to get down into another one over this way. This is one of the cave systems that I've worked out. It was a nice, deep, undergoing cave. We can actually come down this way just so you can get an idea of what it looks like. And in terms of ease of access, it's not the greatest, but we've got it lit up to the point where we really shouldn't have to worry about any other hostile mob spawns. But it comes down to Y level 24, so it's not terrible. We could potentially expand this down further and get down to diamond level and make a man-made strip mine, which tends to work okay. But we may also be able to just find our way into some more favorable areas when it comes to caving efficiently and conserving resources. Once I get up to diamond tools, I don't really care for the resources that I put into mining, especially once those diamond tools are enchanted. Let's actually get up here. And then let's make our way over to the other cave system that we were starting to work in a little bit, and that's actually just a short walk over the top of the hill this way. And you can see over here there's a large pit that I've got a couple of torches down in, and a large area that's kind of been blasted away. That's because this cave has been home to a bunch of creepers, kind of like what you're seeing there, and skeletons that also like to come up out of nowhere and kind of mess with me. And I could have taken that guy on, but I could also potentially lure him out of his little sanctuary down here. And there we are. Had another little creeper explosion there. Not the worst one. And it did only about a half heart damage to us as well. Let's see if we can lure this guy out of this lower cave system. And then get a couple of lights up in here to help prevent some of our spawning. And there's some iron that'll help us. And let's go ahead and light a couple things up further down here. Got some more iron there. And this is where our little tunnel that we're working in has kind of come to its end. This will make sure that we can get decently geared up with some iron tools, shovels, pickaxes, the like, and that will be helpful. This is actually my first stone pickaxe of the world that we're still working with, so I intend on taking that just about as far as I can. And let's go ahead and grab this little vein of iron here as well. Before we look to progress any further down into the other rims of this cave. Got ourselves some lava down here that we'll want to be cautious around. It's actually about right where I'm needing to go. Let's switch into our cobblestone so we can stuff up that area. And then while we wait for that lava to clear out, we'll grab some more of this iron. I'm not looking to get too much in this run, just making sure that we can get ourselves kitted out with some good tools is really what we're looking for. And this is a nice little vein of iron here. And then you're probably familiar with caving strategies. The best ones that I have found personally is when caving, you want to pick a wall. I tend to favor the right side in terms of placing down my torches. And then just keep a pendant eye on where you're walking as well. We'll just go until our pickaxe ends here, and you'll see that we've got our durability HUD popping up that's giving us warnings about our tool durability. And then let's just grab a few more of these. And we'll need to come back down for the rest because I am now officially out of iron. And we're now under cover of night as well, which will make things interesting for getting out of here. And let's make our way back over to our bed and area. I'm going to take the road around here a little bit. And I'm going to try not to hit any zombies because that'll trigger some communal spawning. Tag teaming with that zombie, that iron golem, that tended to do pretty well. And then we'll just want to whack that spider a couple of times, and we should be good to get some rest and some shut-eye. And then we've got a bunch of our friends hanging out in different places here. So let's go ahead and get some of our iron smelting up here. Or actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to smelt up 3 of these. I'm going to take 8 more and put them over here. Get ourselves a furnace. And then as soon as these are smelted up, we're actually going to run them through the smelter again, because this gives us stone. And once we have our stone, we can run it through our furnace one more time to get smooth stone. And then once we have our 3 pieces of smooth stone, we can smelt up some iron. And then once we have our iron, we can use that to make one of my favorite tools in the entire game. Or I guess what I should say is one of my favorite workstations. So let's walk over here. We'll take our smooth stone and put the 3 of them down here along the base. We'll then add our furnace and then surround it with our iron ingots, and that gives us a blast furnace. And we can go ahead and place that on top of our regular furnace here. And then let's go ahead and just dump our current coal into that. We've got enough for 1 pickaxe, and we're probably only going to get 1 more ingot out of here, which is fine. Might get a second one, probably not though, is my guess. But if we sacrifice one of our sticks, we will. And then let's put our iron ore up here, and that'll cook us up our precious ores at a much accelerated rate. And that will be excellent for the resources which we have available to us. So let's go ahead and let's grab this one and the next one that comes out of it. And that will give us enough for a pickaxe and a sword. I felt like I'd already made an iron sword, but apparently I did not. And now we've got those both on hand. Alright, now we've got ourselves kitted out with all of the iron tools that we will need, and that is excellent. We've even got more iron smelting up in our furnace here, which is great. Now, a blast furnace does the same type of thing that our smokers do, with the difference being the smokers is for foodstuffs specifically, so pork chops, your different meats, such as the beef. It can cook those into steaks. It can cook the lamb chops into cooked mutton. And the other thing that it can that it can cook up, which I don't think a lot of people recognize, is you can use smokers to cook kelp, which is pretty handy, especially because kelp makes for a very nice fuel source block. And then we've got the blast furnace, which does the exact same thing, but for different ores. I don't know if it works with cobblestone, but we can certainly check, especially since we have stuff running, and no, it will not. Cobblestone has to be cooked up into stone using a regular furnace, so unfortunately no way to accelerate that. But it's very handy for smelting up your different ores, including some of the ores that you can get out of the nether, if I'm not mistaken. But that gives us a pretty good headway into what we are looking to accomplish today, and we've got ourselves a nice little tower of gravel hanging out right there, which is quite interesting, to say the least. And then one other thing that I was meaning to do is let's find a place where we can fill ourselves our water bucket. And just like that, we have that accomplished. Now, one thing that I tend to do, and it's not the most organized thing in the world, but I do like to try and initially, when my storage space is limited, store up all of my different organics together. So you see that we've got everything from our sunflowers and dandelions, basically anything that you can run through a hopper, I try and keep, or not a hopper, a composter, I try to keep in the same area. But we've got a couple of our wheat seeds on hand, so let's run around and grab some of these. We've got a couple of potatoes in our inventory, And it looks like that's everything that's fully grown from here, at least for the time being. And this village isn't the greatest when it comes to the amount of foodstuffs. I've been in villages that have a lot more farming type areas. This one unfortunately only has 2. But it is more than enough for what we need to at least get things started initially. And then we've got ourselves a couple of carrots here, which those will be good for a couple of different tasks later on down the road. And then our potatoes, got those here as well. So what I will end up doing eventually is I will make a more efficient farm for kind of cleaning and collecting things. I'm going to try a very different design from some of the others that I've used in the past. Just kind of curious to see how that's going to work in comparison with some of the other ones that I've done. So look forward to seeing that in a future episode here, and then let's switch over into our pork chops to get up the remaining bit of our hunger. And then the only other thing that I'm going to want to do is set up a renewable source of food, probably in the form of a cow and sheep crusher. If you're watching the live streams that I do, then you'll see designs that I've done on that. It's not my design, it just plays with the Minecraft Java mechanic of entity cramming. But let's go ahead and clear out the top of this little mesa area to kind of get what we need for the space that we will end up needing cleared out. I think that there's just sheep over here primarily, but I want to set up cows as that's what we're going to need or be using more primarily here. So let's go ahead and at least get that started. And let's swap our wheat over to our hand now that we're under cover of daylight, and things will be a little bit friendlier. Let's see if we can track ourselves down some cows. Looks like there's one over here, and where there's one, there's generally multiple. Looks like we've got a couple of pigs over there, which we could do if we wanted. It actually looks like there's some donkeys over this way, so those could be interesting or useful to have as well. But let's bring this guy over along with us. We're going to need to swim him across some water, which I could use a boat, but then we're dealing with other mechanics that tend to be problematic. And let's bring you over through the water. You should do decently well. Cows aren't the greatest swimmers, but they're stubborn enough to make it across. We just want to get you lined right up with this hole in the ground. And right like that, we have cow number 1. Now we just need to go find cow number 2. There we are. Now the 2 of you are in there. And I will feed you, but first I need to make myself a fence post. And you can't make a singular fence post, unfortunately. And then let's get our axes first activity in here. And just like that, we've got ourselves our cow crusher started. And just like that, as we have the sun setting behind me, I think that is a good place for us to stop. We've made some really good progress in today's episode and catching back up to where we needed to be. So I hope you learned a couple of things today. If you're enjoying the series, please feel free to leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe for more daily content. And we will see you in the next episode of our hardcore guide next week. And don't forget to check back tomorrow for another Breath of the Wild video. Thanks again for your time, and I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye-bye.